What's going on YouTube, GSNO right here. So in today's video I have some updates on the current situation of the jailbreaking itself for the iOS 11 and for the iOS 10. And I'm going to also talk about some important stuff related to the jailbreaking situation but in the future. So I'm going to start though with the Electra situation. To say that the Electra situation is currently complicated is a massive understatement. Yes, there are a lot of things going on currently, and Coolstar has left. You probably know the story from my last video. Well, a lot of people found some notice on the website itself. Let me actually zoom a bit. As you can see here, he has posted on 19th of February this notice on his website on the Electra, in which he pretty much calls out a Twitter account for being, quote, literally cancer. Then he says that, quote, it's been a lot nicer and quieter not being on Twitter, finally some peace and quiet. And of course he says that he's not planning to go back on Twitter for at least a couple weeks, and he doesn't know when the working on the Electra jailbreak will resume, so he's no longer giving any dates. He pretty much says in here, quote, the original public release date estimate was actually 20th of the February 2018, however it has been delayed since we now have to deal with potential bugs people could have, as RC or release candidate 1.2 had known bugs. Now, for those of you who do not know, the RC 1.2 is the actual version that has been leaked for the general public, and this one has been intended only for the developers. And it says in here it has known bugs that are not easily and automatically fixable without a restore. Now, a restore is a very serious matter, since it means that you have to pretty much put your phone to iTunes and restore to the latest version to clear out the file system. Now, you can do a future restore to the same version if you have the correct blobs, the SSH blobs, but it's not an easy thing to do, and it does require some work with the terminal application, which is this one here, since the future restore application requires you to use the terminal. Now, there are a couple tutorials, but they're out of date and it's pretty hard, so if you can, please do not install the leaked version. Now, Coolstar has also joined back Twitter a couple hours ago for only 10 minutes to say this. Now, I have screenshotted the post once it's been done to let you know what's been going on. He says, quote, just saying that Coolstar org with one additional O and star player 133 are fake, shutting account down again in 10 minutes. Now, in my opinion, Coolstar is acting a little bit childish in here. I mean, for fuck's sake, just don't use Twitter. Just don't open Twitter, close Twitter, open Twitter, close Twitter, your account and stuff like that. It's a little bit childish for his attitude, but I can understand why this human being decided to not use Twitter anymore after the drama with the Electra being leaked. Now, as I said, he joined again Twitter today for just 10 minutes to say that these two accounts are fake. Now, for those of you who do not know, the accounts on Twitter called Coolstar at the moment are completely fake. His account is still deactivated, as you can see, and this is his original Twitter handle, Coolstar org, with only 2 O's. If you have like 3 O's in the name, like this one has in here, it's completely fake. The reason I'm saying this is, some people would say, duh, obvious, because he has more followers. Well, not anymore. See, when you are deactivating your Twitter, as far as I know, you're losing your followers, or most of them. So the follower number he had today when I checked was 133. So he's back again to square one. It's really hard to know who is the real Coolstar now just by looking at the followers numbers. So pay attention to the Coolstar handling here, because they can't get the handle. This one is the official handle, so when he gets back on Twitter, he will still be with the same handle. Something I wanted to talk about that I didn't actually cover in the past, but was very important, is the QiLin jailbreak toolkit. Now, for those of you who do not know, this is a product or a software package created by Jonathan Levin, the creator of the iOS jailbreak for iOS 11. Now, what he has done in here has never been done before, at least to my knowledge, and is very important, since it's going to make jailbreaking in the future way more easier than it's been till now. So what the QiLin Jailbreak Toolkit is, it's pretty much a sort of framework, if you want, for an upcoming jailbreak. You just need to have the TFP0, the task port, in the kernel base, and you pass this information to the QiLin framework, and QiLin will pretty much use it in order to jailbreak, in order to drop the payload containing the binaries and install stuff. And you can just create some additional modifications like installing Cydia and stuff like that to the payload, but it's going to do most of the things that used to be done manually and in a very, very, fragmented manner, automatically in the same manner, making the code very easily to maintain and very, very easy to pretty much share it across and update it for the next version. So pretty much what you can do is to get the exploit for the iOS 11.2, for example, if it has a task for PID 0 or kernel task port, pass it to the QiLin and make jailbreaking way, way easier. So this pretty much simplifies the jailbreaking process and makes it easier for a normal developer who's got an exploit that's been released by INB or anybody else, and turn it into a jailbreak that is actually stable and works, which is quite nice. So yeah, if you're interested in the code and in how it works and what's the licensing and so on of the QiLin, I really hope this is how you pronounce it, at least I do my best. You can check it out in the description down below. Jonathan Levin is one of the trusted developers and writers in the community, so definitely check it out. Now, something I wanted to also talk about is the current versions and the current situation of the iOS. So pretty much currently iOS 11.2.5 and 11.2.6 are signed. None of these versions that are currently signed by Apple are okay for jailbreaking, so do not update to them. If you're running iOS 11.2, 11.2.1 and 11.2.2, you're pretty much safe. Once an exploit containing the task for PID0 or the task port is out, you can pretty much be sure that there will be a jailbreak for that version, which, yeah, might be sooner or later. But for the iOS 11.2.5 and 11.2.6, the situation is a little bit bad, since iOS 11.2.5 changes quite a lot compared to iOS 11.2.2, making updating Electra to that version pretty hard, even with an exploit. So if you are planning to update to iOS 11.2.5 or to 11.2.6, do not do that. Now the difference between these two is that on the 11.2.5 you have that bug with the Indian character that can break your device. That has been fixed in 11.2.6. If you are jailbroken though, you can install Not Today Satan, link in the description, and fix that problem without updating to a newer version. Now, speaking about iOS 10.x, the Meridian jailbreak for the iOS 10.x is currently on the public beta 6, and Sparky is still working on the newest version that will contain Cydia. But I really wanted to mention this since a lot of people are asking me what's going on, when we're going to get Cydia. Please do not buffer this developer the way some of you did with Coolstar, because we risk the same thing. Yeah. And lastly, I wanted to talk about this. I know, I'm very, very late to the party, talking about the iBoot source code that has been leaked, but the reason I didn't cover it earlier is because it's not very important for you as a normal person waiting for a jailbreak. Now, a couple weeks ago, there has been a leak, on February 9th, they posted in here on the motherboard that there has been a leak, which is pretty much a leak of the iBoot source code. The problem is that the iBoot source code has been pretty much floating around for quite a lot of time now, multiple versions of it actually, and it's really not that important as the media like the motherboard are trying to make it look like. The reason it's not very important is because you have this source code, which is not the latest version, is actually the source code for the iOS 9.x, which, yeah, it's long gone. It's still good for researchers who want to look into it, but in order to understand this, you have to understand the bootloader itself. You have to understand a lot of programming in order to understand how the bootloader works, which is pretty low level. It's way lower than the kernel itself, so understanding the code and exploiting the code in here is a little bit of a hard task. Now, the fact that the source code has been leaked into the public doesn't mean that there will be an untethered jailbreak anytime soon, and Of course, for those of you waiting for an iCloud bypass, it doesn't mean custom-made firmwares will be possible anytime soon, since the leaked source code doesn't mean an exploit. There's just a code that makes the iBoot tick, but there's still the need for somebody to analyze this code, to come up with a vulnerability in it, to exploit it, and then, after that, to have the willing to release it publicly, which sometimes happens, but most of the times it doesn't, since the iBoot itself is quite a big component, and Apple pays quite a lot of money to keep this component completely safe. So yeah, do not expect a jailbreak based upon this leak anytime soon, or an iCloud bypass based on purely the source code itself anytime soon. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on currently, guys. I really wanted to address that since quite a lot of people are asking me about this quote important leak, which is not really that important. If you're not a researcher, you're not going to understand much of it, even if you look on the code, and Apple was very quick to take it down anyways, although a lot of people have the copies already. But anyways, yes, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to stay updated. We'll keep you updated with anything that's going on in the jailbreak community. I'm GeoSnow. Peace out.